All right, we're recording. So we have a small group tonight, which is awesome. So y'all pick our brains if you have questions on stuff. We're gonna go over a few things
Get down.
that
Get down. Come over here now. Get in the seat.
there we go. We're gonna go over a few things that we talked about that we think a lot of people have questions about.
Yeah.
So of course, do you want to start?
Sure.
Some of the things you were
Yeah, so we can kind of just start with some very basic things that if you haven't changed already, that you can tweak that will really just make a significant difference in your journey, whether that be to lose weight or that just be to feel more energized, can feel more full and satisfied.
Perform better in your workouts, in your
Absolutely.
training.
These are some just very simple things, but first is just, drink more water and when to drink water.
Yeah.
And so if there's no such thing as a magic pill or, all the gimmicks that you see out there, none of that stuff is like an overnight fix, but there is one close thing to magic, it's water. All right. Water does so much for you. And
I mean, I know that's so simple that we're well, duh, drink water. But being able to, it's going to help you get results faster. It's going to help you perform better. It's going to help you to think better. It's going to help you to focus. So many different things with that. So we really emphasize that.
Yeah. And here's why. So obviously if you're expending a lot of energy and sweat into your workouts, then you have to replenish. Body is made up of what? What's the percentage?
2/3.
2/3. Yeah. So it's kind of like we said, it's very simple and very obvious, but at the same time, it really helps you feel more full too. And so one thing we like to do, and one thing that we've learned in this new nutrition program that we just recently launched, the 2B Mindset program, was how we drink water before every single meal. And so before we eat a meal, then we down 20 ounces of water. And
well, do you do 20 ounces?
Between 10 and 20,
okay.
Yeah. And so that right off the bat, I feel more full, more satisfied going into my meal, and I'm less likely to overeat.
Yeah. Well, we go through the whole process of water, veggies, protein usually, and then carbs, and then if we're still hungry, drink more water.
Yep.
And then see if we're really hungry. So
yeah.
Are you talking?
And that's another thing is after we finish our meal, we go back to drinking more water and back to eating more veggies before we dive into anything else. And a lot of times what we find is that when we do that, when we start to go back for seconds and we say, hey, first let's have drink some more water, that we're like, I wasn't hungry still. I was actually just thirsty. And then we can stop eating at that point. And so that really has prevented us from overeating. Prevented me, because I'm the one that overeats. Prevented me from overeating.
So water, and then what else was the point you wanted to
Veggies,
talk about? Veggies. I want to talk about extra training.
And scale.
And the scale. Okay.
Yeah. And so we had a post this morning about
in one of our other groups, because there's some that are just starting out too.
Oh, cool. Gotcha. Yeah, so we talked about how the scale is a really important tool. And so most people have, when you say the scale, it's kind of like a bad thing. Like, oh, the scale is not my friend. And completely
negative.
Yeah.
They have a negative view of it.
Completely understand, because I did too. I had a negative view towards it for quite some time. And my internet just said it's not stable, so hopefully I'm not cutting out here. But anyways, the scale is just simply a tool. It's just a way to measure progress. And the mindset shift that we want to have take place here is to go from, man, I really hate the scale, to the scale is going to eventually evolve into my friend, because it's going to be like your biggest cheerleader. Because whenever you're starting to drop the pounds and you're having a lot of progress, that scale is going to be telling you, hey, good job, you lost another pound. Good job, you lost another pound. And so, but it's important to monitor. It's important to understand where we are. And if your goal is weight loss, that's extremely important to use a tool that measures weight loss.
Yeah. well, and I don't know if you touched on this because I was getting him situated, but knowing what foods affect your body differently.
Yeah, good point.
And that honestly, like, it's been the biggest thing for me with weighing and using the scale, not as something negative like Cliff said, but just as something that's going to help me just to measure where I'm at, but it helps me to know what foods affect my body because everyone's different. And I know there are specific foods that Cliff can eat and inhale and be fine. And when I eat them, I will retain water and I don't feel that great. And so I see it on the scale. Not only do I feel it, but I see it. And it helps me to track that and to be like, you know what? When I eat that, I need to recognize these certain foods, what's going to affect me, you know? It helps me to be more aware. Hey, bud, what do you need? It helps me to be more aware, just to be, you know, have more power in how I feel and in my results because I know specific foods will affect my weight immediately as far as retention and stuff. Now, some people, it's been pretty cool, have told us, and I haven't had this personally, but I said, you know, in our groups that they've noticed certain foods help them to be able to stay consistent with losing weight. And so when you're tracking that, when you're being aware of what you're having, what your intake is, you look at the scale and then you're like, you know, that's pretty cool that this is my specific dinner around this or whatnot. And I can see that, hey, Tiffany, girl, I can see that I'm, you know, staying on track and I'm losing. So it's taking away the negative, making it more positive for sure, a mindset shift.
Yep.
You know, it's so important.
Absolutely.
It doesn't, I think a big thing, especially for females, is we associate our value with a number, and that's not what it's about at all. It's just about like having that set point of knowing, you know, how your foods affect you, knowing how you can, you know, measure things.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. That number does not define you. It does not describe you. It is not you. It is just simply a number. It is just simply a tool to track and monitor progress.
I know some. Oh, sorry.
And so, if you're following your program and you're showing up, you know, for yourself, then that scale will become your friend.
I think that something else to touch on when we talk about scale and weight is you have to give the process time too. Some people will lose weight like right away on certain things, but especially with females, I tell them to like give it some time because of hormones, because of, and for my girls, we'll be talking about that a little bit in our group as far as how hormones affect you, but you have to give it some time. And a lot of times when you're starting a fitness program and you're doing more strength work or whatnot, hold on, bud. You're gonna be more swollen. You're gonna be retaining more water because your muscles are sore and they're working harder. Hey, so you want to make sure that you know, you just recognize that, yeah, you know, watching that number is good, being able to know where you're at and what affects you. It's not your value, but also give everything time. And if you don't see it moving, it's okay. It just takes some time. Your body needs to, you know, go, okay, all this is going on. We got extra stress on the body, and then go from there. You know, as far as eventually being able to lose. Can you touch on endurance training with nutrition? How it works in the bracket, or do you want me to talk?
Yeah, sure.
I can talk about it if you want.
No, you'll probably come.
Or do you want to? Can you talk about training?
Yeah.
Sorry, just.
Okay, so Stacey wanted me to talk a little bit about incorporating your programs with if you're doing like a training for a race or any type of endurance training. And so Patty and I are both endurance coaches, and we're very familiar with how to integrate the cross training, the strength programs in with an periodized endurance program. So they can be an asset and a good integration tool to use with your endurance program if done properly. And so the important part is
I don't know what you're subject to because
I'm how to integrate with it.
Okay, cool. So you want to make sure you're getting your key workouts in for the week, right? workout. So for those of you who put this up a little bit so I can see, for those of you that are doing, so let's say you're running, or you know, for those that are running, let's say you have a long run, you've got your hill repeat, you've got speed work, right? Those are your key workouts. Something that's like a base easy run is not a key workout. It's just adding some mileage and right? So make sure on your key workout days. Sorry if you guys can't hear me very well because he's kind of throwing a fit. You want to go for a walk with Daddy? Go for a walk with Daddy. On your key workout days, just make sure you're not doing like leg day or a heavy like hammer power, which is a heavy you know, workout, or anything that's too strenuous on the days when you have a strenuous endurance event as well, if that makes sense. So, and you guys, you know, feel free to ask us questions on this too, but so you can sub things in. So as you're going through the program, like for those that just started the hammer and chisel, today, you know, they had, was it plyometrics and masters cardio, right? Look at it. A choice of those two. So you could always, now plyometrics I think is amazing for endurance athletes, runners, triathletes, anybody cross-training wise, hiking, whatever it is. I think plyometrics are so helpful. But you could, as you go, like instead of doing, you know, some weeks instead of doing that, you know, you have your cardio for that day of a run, bike, swim, or wherever, whatever it is that you're doing, okay? So something like that. Now your hammer power or your max hammer strength or any of a lot of the hammer workouts besides like hammer conditioning are your strength, your more powerful lifts. You do need to incorporate those. It's going to help you become a stronger athlete or stronger in other things that you're doing, you know, in with your training, okay? So recognize as you're doing something, let's say you're going through a workout and you're like, oh, they're lifting heavier in this and I've got a long run tomorrow, just don't lift as heavy, and that's okay. But on the days when you can give a little bit, be sure you can give a little bit. So, and definitely ask me anytime on any of that as far as endurance goes. The nutrition part of it is pretty specific. Now, you go through those that are doing 2B nutrition. You can follow that guideline, that process. Those that are doing the Fixate containers, which is through like the hammer chisel has the same system. You're going to see that that in with that system, you have your caloric options, your meal options, right? Your brackets of A, B, C, D, E, so on. Okay. If you're doing endurance training, if you're doing additional training in with the programming, then you need to go up a bracket. They say that in, you know, in the programming. So you want to make sure that if you're training for, you know, a half marathon or a marathon or a triathlon or whatever it is, or another event, and you're doing training in addition to the training that you're doing, that you go up one bracket. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, if you get to a point where you're like, you know, too much food or whatnot, just kind of see how your body feels. But even if you're trying to lose, they say to make sure you're going up the bracket so you have enough fuel, okay, for that performance. So do you guys have questions about that? So someone asked me, Chris asked me today about where my caloric range is. So I'm in like the 2100 plus, and that's simply because I'm doing the hammer and chisel program. I'm doing some run and bike, and I'm breastfeeding. So I go up extra because of the nursing too. Okay. And I'm also not trying to lose weight. So I'm usually ranging from 123 to 125 pounds. And so that is, it goes off of weight. So, you know, if you're trying to lose, it's going to be different. If you're not nursing, obviously it's going to be different. And if you're not doing endurance training. Tiffany said, I'm doing 80 day for a second round. What are your thoughts about which meal plan to follow? It goes based off of your It goes based off of your weight. Is that what your question was? You can unmute yourself too if you guys want to. So it goes off of your weight. So you want to follow. Go ahead. Hopefully I don't freeze.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the 80-day nutrition is supposed to be you eat every 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So roughly you're eating 6 times a day. And with the 2B Mind in the tracker, there's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot about that. My brain just lost. Okay, you can follow whichever one works best for you. And that's the cool thing about it, is that some people need more structure and they need the time nutrition. I was talking to one of my best friends today about her stuff, and she's like, just did 80-day. She's doing through again, but they're also going through 2B with her husband, and her husband likes the 2B more. He needs that, like more options, the volume eating, the emotional eating, more. That's more in tune with him. She said that she needs the structure of 80-day. So you can do whichever one works best for you. If you're not into counting and eating every few hours, then I would definitely do 2B. But if it works for you, you know, whichever one you prefer, you can try either one. I know, like Melissa Brewer, who we shared her results on 2B, had amazing results, and she did 80-day with 2B, the 80-day program with 2B. So. Does that help? Hopefully. Does anyone have any other questions? Tiffany, if you want to chime in more on anything else.
So I'm doing a mixture this time around with the 2B and the 80-day obsession meal plan. And as I've been counting what I've been eating with the 2B meal plan, I'm eating the same amounts of all the food I need, just not every 2 to 3 hours, and going more as I need it when I'm truly hungry.
Sorry, I'm muting people so I can hear you. Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
That's okay. So this time around, I'm doing the 80-day obsession with the 2B mindset. And I'm finding as I'm tracking what I'm eating in the 2B Mind, I'm still eating all the necessary foods you would need to eat with the 80-day obsession. Mm-hmm. The portion sizes I'm not quite set with yet, but I'm finding I'm eating more when I'm hungry versus because it's 2 hours and I'm supposed to eat.
Yeah. And that's that different types of hunger that she talks about too, which I like. And that's, yeah, I do like the structure of knowing how many colors I need in the day. I think that's helped me a lot, but it's the same thing. Because I've been doing that plan for 3.5 years too, it's like in my brain, like, oh, I know I need another yellow, you know, but it's like, it is a little different kind of learning that process. So I'm still learning it as it goes. But we did find the same thing, that if you're following the guidelines of the plating, it is pretty similar in what you're getting. It's just different, you know, like, you know, whether you do your carbs at night or whatnot, or where it's at throughout the day too. So
retraining your brain.
It is totally. Good deal. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or anything you want to talk about? We got about 10 more minutes if you want. Melissa said, I think what's different for me is trying to figure out the amounts. Yeah, I think that's a process too. I think that'll take time just with the percentages on everything.
We made homemade hot dogs tonight.
You mean homemade hot dogs?
Yeah, from Fix8.
Oh, I haven't seen those. I haven't seen that one.
It's just basically semi-frozen chicken in the food processor with some spices, and then you tube it out and boil it. And then once it's done boiling, you put it on the grill.
Was it good?
Yeah, toddler ate it, husband ate it.
That's a win. When toddler
Turnip fries too.
love it. We've been eating. We love those. The turnip fries.
I still haven't got my timing down yet.
Well, mine are still kind of soggy. I can't quite like get better.
Mine are burnt.
Oh, they are. So they're still really good though. I'm like, this is
yeah.
awesome. We went to the farmer's market and I grabbed, like, I was like, oh my gosh, let me have all of them. So yeah, it helps me. I think different seasonings are great too to put on there. Good deal. All right, y'all. Well, if that's it, I'm going to stop our recording and we can hop off. But thanks for getting on. And we'll do another call for the groups because we have combined it in 2 weeks. So these are bi-weekly. So by then, because I know that we just started a boot camp too, so that, you know, a lot of people are just like, I'm still trying to figure everything out. So by then you'll have way more questions, I bet. Melissa, that little boy is so cute. Goodness. All right, y'all.